The special meeting is called to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Here, present.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Present.
Ms. Doremus?
Present.
Ms. Munoz?
Present.
Mr. Nagel?
Present.
Mr. Sake?
Present.
Mr. Suniga?
Present.
All right, that brings us to public participation. We've received a public participation form from Blanca Ruiz. Would like to talk about the support staff contract.
All right, good afternoon. I'm just here to, I know that you're going to hear the good news, but we did finish the contract. Yay. Yes. And I'm just going to express the feeling because I've been doing negotiations for 3 years. And I'm just going to express that it's been a positive how we've been doing the negotiations. I think we're erasing the past by putting a positive, moving forward. And our voting was 97% to 3%, so it was a very good. It's a long contract, but I think we deserve it to kind of relax for a little bit. And I just want to thank Rich, Lynn, Dan, and Julie for working as a team and listening and working and listening and fixing things as a team. And it was reflected in the contract, and just a contract that I always explain, it's something that it's fair. It's not what we want, but it's a fair thing that both understand that that's what we want. So that's it, and welcome to the new people that are going to join in, and thank you, Giovanni, and thank you, Jerry, for all the work that you have done here too. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and I would also like to say thank you to everybody who was involved in the negotiations, both from the board side and from the support staff side. Well done. All right, that brings us to approval of minutes. The recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the minutes of the April 15th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting, open and closed, and the April 21st, 2025 joint Boards of Education meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Ms. Doremus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Suniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye. That brings us to employment contract for new principal. The recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the employment contract for the new principal as presented and attached.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Doremus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Suniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome. That brings us to ratification of the support staff contract. The recommended motion, the Board of Education adopt the agreement with the West Chicago High School Support Staff Association effective July 1st, 2025, and continuing in effect through June 30th, 2030.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to mirror what our staff, our support staff representative, the negotiations were done very honestly, very openly, and with fairness from both sides. So I appreciate the work that they did, as well as the work that our administration and Lynn did in getting us where we needed to be. Had a little bit of extensions during the negotiation because of vacation like that, but we got it done, and we met our timeline. So thank you, as well as our facilitator.
I'll second that, Rich. Thank you. Thank you, everyone that participated in that. Julie, Dan, Blanca, thank you. Rich.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Suniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Ms. Doremus?
Abstain.
Motion carries. That brings us to canvass of votes. The recommended motion that the Board of Education acknowledge receipt of the DuPage County canvass of votes for the consolidated general election for Community High School District 94 Board of Education members and made a part hereof.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Suniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Ms. Doremus?
Aye.
All right, and our last item of business for the special meeting is the recommended motion that the Board of Education adjourn sine die.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, this board has completed its business. We will now take about a 5 to 10 minute pause so we can readjust the seating. And again, Gary and Giovanni, thank you very much for your service. I just need to let it spool up a second.
Okay, Bob.
All right, the organizational meeting is called to order. And at this point, if we could have Rich, Kathy, Tammy, and Catalina stand and each raise your right hand and together repeat line by line the oath.
Catherine Doremus, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Community High School District 94 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interest by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Community High School District 94. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure continuous assessment of student achievement in all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students in our community school to advance the vision for Community High School District 94. And I shall strive to work together with District Superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
All right, Rich and Kathy, congratulations on your reelection. All right, the organizational meeting is called to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Present.
Mr. Remus?
Present.
Ms. Munoz? Present. Mr. Nagel?
Present.
Ms. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Chavez? Present.
All right, is there any public participation for the organizational meeting? Hearing none, we move on to the officer election process. Our first order of business is to elect a president pro tem to preside over the election of president. Although not required, our practice has been to elect an individual who will not be a candidate for president. At this time, I will open the floor for nominations for president pro tem. As a reminder, under Robert's rules, seconds are not required for nomination.
I nominate Rich Nagel.
Rich, do you accept?
Yes, I do. I've done this once or twice before.
That's why it was an easy nomination.
Are there any further nominations? Hearing none and there being only one nominee, I will entertain a motion to close nominations and elect Rich Nagel as President Pro Tem. Is there a second? Or sorry, is there a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez?
Motion passes. Rich Nagel will serve as President Pro Tem. Mr. Nagel, the floor is yours.
Our next order of business is to elect the President of the Board to serve for a 2-year period per policy. At this time, I will open the floor for nominations for Board President. As a reminder, under Robert's rules, seconds are not required for nomination.
I
Open the
nominate
floor.
Bob, oh, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I nominate Bob Brown for president.
I humbly accept your nomination.
I nominate Catherine DeRamus.
I would accept that nomination also.
The other nominations. Now, close nominations. We'll entertain a motion to close nominations. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
This is to close
This is to close
nominations.
nominations.
Close nominations.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Okay. Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy? Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Motion passes. Nominations for Board President are now closed, and we will proceed to a vote by Bob Brown and Catherine DeRamus. Now entertain a motion to proceed to the vote for Board President. Is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
This is the motion to proceed with the
Motion to
vote.
proceed
Not
with
the vote itself, but the motion to proceed with the vote.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's been, was it moved and seconded?
I seconded.
doesn't look like there's a, well, let's call the roll just to be safe.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Are there any questions or discussion? To be clear, the nominee must receive 4 or more votes, a majority of the voting members. As your name is called, please state your preference for Board President. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nagel?
Catherine DeRamus?
Ms. Murphy? Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown?
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Mr. Brown, please.
Mr. Remus?
DeRamus.
Ms. Munoz?
Mr. Brown?
The votes are 4 for Mr. Brown, 3 for Mr. Ramus. Mr. Brown is elected president.
Thank you. I appreciate your confidence.
Congratulations. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Our next order of business is to elect the Vice President of the Board to serve for a 2-year period per policy. At this time, I will open the floor for nomination for Vice President. As a reminder, under Robert's rules, seconds are not required for nomination. I would nominate Lynn Casey Mayer for Vice President.
I accept. Thank you.
Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, and there being only one nominee, I will entertain a motion to close nominations and elect Lynn Casey Mayer as Vice President.
Moved.
Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
All right, motion passes, and Lynn will serve as vice president. Congratulations.
Well, I'm starting
And
out well.
you get some music there.
That's my winning tune.
The timing was perfect. Our next order of business is to elect the secretary of the board to serve for a two-year period per policy. At this time, I will open the floor for nominations for board secretary. As a reminder, Robert's rules, seconds are not required for nomination. Will you accept, Rich?
I do, with the provision that we maintain a recording secretary.
I think we can do that, right? And I can understand your rationale. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, and there being only one nominee, I will entertain a motion to close nominations and elect Rich Nagel as secretary. Is there a second? Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, who was second? Thank you. Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy? Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ding, 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 ding.
You gotta have your own tune. That tune's been copyrighted. All right, motion passes. Rich will serve as secretary. Congratulations. Okay, moving on down. All right, now moving on to some business we have to do. Appoint SACID Board of Directors representative. The recommended motion that the Board of Education appoint Kurt Johansson to serve as its representative to the SACID Board of Directors and execute the resolution and made a part hereof.
Moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is appoint SACID Governing Board representative. Before we get to the motions, who would be interested in being the governing representative and the alternate?
I don't mind. Can I ask a question now? Can I ask what the Deos representative is entailed with too? Like,
Let's
is
see.
that, because that's the first time I've seen that, so,
So it's required every year that the
Okay.
Deos receive the appointed representative to serve on their board.
Oh.
Those are the committee reports that I give for Deos
Yeah,
and TCD. I've served in that capacity this year. Every other board member on that board, with the exception of two, have been either assistant superintendents or directors of curriculum instruction, who have a more familiar understanding of the inner workings of Deos and TCD.
it's not typically something we do.
You have to approve who.
We approve who you're telling us.
But it's not a board member that serves on it.
Gotcha, that was my question.
Yes.
Okay.
So were you saying you'd be interested in being our SACID Governing Board representative or our alternate?
Either or is fine, based on what Kathy wants to do.
No.
Okay?
I'd prefer not to.
Not to do either?
Okay, okay.
Okay, so we
Then
need
I'll
somebody
serve.
else then. We
Then
need-
I'll-
Thank you.
Is somebody else willing to step forward to be either a representative or an alternate?
Then I'll be the representative.
Okay, that sounds good. The recommended motion that the Board of Education appoint Lynn to serve as its representative to the SACID Governing Board and Tammy to serve as its alternate representative to the SACID Governing Board for the 2025 to 2026 and 2026 to 2027 school years and execute the resolution and made a part hereof.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel? Ms. Murphy? Mr. Nagel?
Aye, I'm sorry.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Motion carries. Appoint Deos representative. That the recommended motion that the Board of Education appoint Mary Howard to serve as its representative to the Board of Directors of Deos for the 2025 to 2026 school year.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Ms. Murphy? Ms. Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Does anybody wish any items removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion? Hearing none, the recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the consent agenda for date, time, and place of Board of Education meetings and appoint legal counsel as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Calendars in your packet. We've got to identify which calendar we want to approve.
Oh, were they alternate calendars?
Starting July 1. Same as what they have been in the past. There's no changes to it.
Okay. For our meetings?
What was the differences between, what was the reason for the two calendars?
No. There's two items. One is the calendar, the other is the committee structure, committee of the whole and the regular. So if we want to continue with the same structure, I believe we need to.
I don't think that is,
That wasn't listed on the agenda as a
that's
discussion.
on the agenda.
Board of Education meeting schedule, and then the Board of Education meeting schedule regular only. So those are the two attachments. Just want to make sure that nothing has changed, but I just want to
Correct.
make sure everybody saw those.
So are we comfortable approving the Board of Education schedule, not the one that's regular meetings only? The one that includes the regular meetings and the committee of the whole meetings?
Oh, I see what you're driving at
That's-
now. So we're going to approve the ones with the cow meetings.
That's
That's
what the point of question at this point is.
Yes.
Are we comfortable with that?
I am.
Is that something we should discuss or could discuss at the retreat? Because
Well, that's a motion that can be revised if we decide to move from
we
that.
can always change
We're not
that.
in a
Why don't we-
position to discuss committee of the wholes or committees at this point.
Why don't we put that as an agenda item for the board retreat then? So for the moment then, since it's been past practice for the last couple of years, I think it makes sense to approve the calendar that has the committee of the whole and the regular, and we can always make a change to that post-board retreat.
Right.
People comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, so the calendar under consideration with the consent agenda is both committee of the whole and regular. All right, at this point, roll call, please.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
I
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
All right, at this point, is there a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that takes care of the organizational meeting. Now we can shift gears and go to the committee of the whole meeting.